Hi, everybody. My name is Leslie Pyle, and I am the founder of HireMyMom.com. And I'm excited today to have with me Lauren Fogelman. Her business is Business Success Solution, and she is going to teach us and help us to learn so much more about pricing strategy with our businesses. So, Lauren, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me.
Leslie, I am excited to have this conversation, and hopefully there will be a ton of nuggets for the people that are connecting with us today.
Yes, I'm excited to hear more about it. I know that you had given me some wisdom and some advice for Hire My Mom, which has proved invaluable. So I'm excited for some of the other, both small businesses and moms, to learn of the advice and the suggestions that you have. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. I am a sports psychologist turned business coach. What I found is that having two businesses pulled me in two different directions. It was just spreading me too thin with doing that, and then having my family to take care of as well. I was just on the verge of burnout. Because of that, I decided to put the sports psychology on a back burner and bring that whole mindset piece that I've been doing with athletes into the business coaching that I was doing as well, because it wasn't just the strategy and the tactics. It was about how we overthink things, how we hold ourselves back, how our beliefs maybe are keeping us from doing something that we feel intuitively would be a great thing to do. And as a result of that, I would say, first of all, it was easier for me just having one business to focus on, but that I was able to, over time, find what my sweet spot was, which is working with service-based entrepreneurs who charge by the hour, the session, or the project, how to be able to earn more without having to sacrifice other important parts of their life by really understanding what the pricing piece was.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, how did you decide to empower entrepreneurs to double their income while working half the time? That's going to really make light bulbs go off in a lot of people's head.
What I was able to see over this journey was that for almost every single entrepreneur, including me, we got from our education and our training skill set to do what we do really, really well. But so often our training prepares us to be an employee working for somebody else, as opposed to being a business owner, an entrepreneur, self-employed. Because of that, there are some things that are really important to business that we just weren't taught how to do. For me, it was three things. It was networking. It was about how to have enrolling conversations when I didn't like the sales part. And then the third part was how to be able to price my services when I didn't want to trade dollars for hours. And what I have seen is that the sales part, the networking, and the pricing piece is a lot of times where we end up leaving money on the table. And because of that, we have to work really, really hard for not as much money as we could make. So I want to show you how to turn your business into your personal ATM machine.
Yes, the personal ATM. You cut out just a bit, I think, is what you said. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So, what is your approach to pricing that emphasizes value?
What I would say, first of all, is what your clients highly value is different than what you highly value. They are interested in what you know, your expertise, your wisdom, your insights, more than what you do. They're not as interested in the steps, the features, the products, or the processes. They want to have access to your expertise and your authority on that. Because of that, what you want to do is really lead with a couple of different things. The first thing I really focus on is knowing who your ideal client is. Because of that, then you can really understand what it is that they value most. And there's a couple of different things to look at when you're thinking about that with your ideal client. You want to look at primary, secondary, and hidden. The primary is those obvious things that they're reaching out to you for. Maybe they need assistance in a particular thing, or maybe they know how to do something, but they're overwhelmed with the technology part, or they don't have enough time to do their own bookkeeping or project management, whatever that is. And that is the obvious reasons why they're reaching out to you. And then there's the secondary benefits. that's looking at what is possible and the benefit of them working with you and achieving that result or getting that thing off their plate and finally done. Well, it could be that they're now able to hire an additional team member in addition to having you work with them. Or it could be that they're finally giving themselves a raise when they haven't been able to do that for quite a while now, when they were stuck and didn't have this in place. Or possibly they're able to take a family vacation and they haven't taken any time off for the last 3 or 4 years. So those are some of the benefits that happen that aren't the primary ones, but the secondary ones because of you helping them. Now there's also the hidden ones. That is the cost of them not investing with you. What is the cost of them continuing to deal with this problem or tolerate it? It could be that they fail to recognize their most profitable source of income, or that they continue to have money leaks that they can't plug up because they don't even know that there's this problem going on in the processes of their business, or they're making other mistakes because they can't take advantage of this other stream of revenue they don't have the capacity for and the efficiencies. And those are some of the hidden things to consider that would be the cost of them not investing with you. When you think about those things, you're starting to now focus on the value of them working with you as opposed to how much time it's going to take. As you move into that, there's more pieces to it. Okay, you have your ideal client. Now we want to look at packaging your services, where you and I have had a conversation, Leslie. It's about taking the different things that you offer and bundling them together into packages. When I teach my clients to package their services, I want them to have 3 options when they are talking with a potential client. I want them to do a silver option, which is the most basic. It might be for startups, people that don't need a lot from you, or that they don't have the budget to work with you at a higher level, but they really value your expertise. And then the gold level will be the most popular package that you offer. That is where the majority of your clients are actually going to fit in, is that gold one. And then there's going to be the diamond package. That is the VIP package, where these people maybe have a large business model that the majority of clients do. They maybe want some exceptions or some specialties that you don't do for your other clients. And because of that, you don't want to just give it away because you don't know how to charge for it, but you want to be able to offer that high level diamond or VIP package because they're looking for a certain level of customer service and access to you. And then the last piece of it is really what I call a value conversation. So we have your ideal client, you have packages that you're offering, and now you need to know how to enroll them. How do you enroll a new client, especially if you don't like the sales part? That is where I show my clients how to ask great questions. Because I have what I call the 70-30 rule. When you are talking with a potential client, you want to have them talking 70% of the time. You're only talking 30% of the time. And that's a flip from when most people go into sales conversations and you're actually pitching, you're probably doing 70% of the talking. We want to actually flip that by you actually asking great questions. Because when you ask great questions, it shows your authority and it helps them actually to recognize the value of working with you, because your questions go around those primary problems of when they originally reached out to you, those secondary things that are possible once you help them fix that problem, and the hidden part with what would be the cost of continuing to deal with that problem and tolerating it as opposed to moving forward. Those are the 3 things that you really want to look at when you really start to move away from selling your time into leading with value and having a potential client invest in the value of your expertise and authority.
Yes. And I've heard like coaches or consultants or whatever say that you're not necessarily paying for that hour, you're paying for their lifetime of skills and their knowledge. So when you present it in that way, people can see the value, I think, more than, oh gosh, he charges $100 an hour. That's way too much. But maybe he has, 5 or 10 years of experience that's going to immediately, you're
Mhm.
going to get 10 times that in value, the first month or the first couple of months because you've missed something in your business that
Mhm.
expert has shown you.
Exactly. And also, Leslie, if we look at Hire My Mom, it actually applies to your platform also because of the fact that you bring a certain level of expertise to the Hire My Mom site that you created. Because of that, you do a good job at connecting contract workers to people that are looking have to hire them simply because of what you did along the way about your market, where you need to be seen, and that you know how to attract those right people to you.
Right. Yeah, we do try to differentiate ourselves from the mega
Mhm,
platforms that have, everything from high school kids on up to, people in other countries and so forth. So, yeah.
mhm. And it just shows that the packages don't just work for service-based entrepreneurs, but they can work for SaaS companies, they can work for platforms like Hire My Mom as well. They go across the board. People just like choices.
Yes. Yeah. And we have those 3 packages. And what you said earlier is very true. Almost, the majority of people go for that middle package.
Mhm,
They like to have those options. And most people don't want to start out with the basic, but they're not ready for the big ones. So that middle one fits. We've had that
mhm.
same experience. Awesome. Okay. So, how do you explain the relationship between value and price?
What I would look at is vehicles. When you look at going from your house to a meeting, you can take a variety of different ways of transportation, but let's stick with cars. Steve, you just signed me out.
You're here. You're still
Oh,
on.
oh, I am so happy to hear that. Thank you so much. Okay. So, and that's about having my husband at home also.
Yes. We're all dealing with that right now.
Mhm.
The
Uh,
sign
a-
of the time.
Anyway, let's look at cars. Now, there are some people that want an economy car. They might get a Geo Metro. The majority of people have a mid-sized car. Let's look at a Volvo then. And then there are some people that really want the luxury cars. That could be a Tesla. Now, each one of them is going to get you to your meeting in probably the same amount of time. But the difference is about what that buyer values. The buyers that get the Geo Metro are more cost or price sensitive. They just want the basics. They might even settle for crank roll up windows instead of electric windows because they just want the basics and the wheels to get them from one place to the other. Now, the clients or the people that buy a Volvo want certain things. They value safety.
Mhm.
And they also have usually a family and they want to protect their family and get from one place to the other as safely as possible because you can never tell what might happen. There's certain things outside of their
Mhm.
uh, control and they want to protect themselves as much as possible. And then there's the Tesla drivers. Those people, they are looking for a certain type of experience as a house to the meeting and they're looking for comfort, style, as well as status because as soon as a car drives by, you pay attention to that car to some degree, but you might pay more attention to a Tesla to a Geo Metro or to a Volvo. And recognize that your clients are the same also. You're going to have some clients that are willing to pay the basic price. They just want some access to you, but they can't afford or don't want all of it. And
Right.
then the majority of them will be the Volvo driver, something mid-range. And then you have some people that always want that first class or concierge experience or have exceptionalities or are more advanced than the majority of clients are. And now to offer package as well. So I would say recognize that people will come to you from a variety of different places and that you want to have something for each of them as opposed to one size fits all.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. So how do you coach your clients when they're ready to value their services?
When they're ready to value their services, the first thing you want to look at is your mindset, because when it comes to pricing, our mindset causes us to probably undervalue it. It comes easy to us. We believe that everybody can do it. But also, as you're moving in the direction of value pricing, it brings up some other beliefs. Nobody's going to pay those rates for my services. I can't charge more than my mentor does. If I do that, nobody else charges that way. People are going to give me pushback, and I don't like confrontation, or I'm going to lose clients if I raise my rates. And that's some of the things to recognize, is that you really had to connect with your personal value before you can expect anybody else to recognize the value that you offer. Then after that, you want to look at how to communicate it. How do you let people know, especially your current clients, that you're going to raise your rates? If we're talking about your current clients, you want to send them an email or a letter, whichever you typically communicate them through, and let them know that you're changing your business model, that you're doing some things that will be to their advantage. You want to position it in a way of how this will be better for them, as opposed to why you're doing it for you. They don't care about whether you've had cost increases or that you just have been underpricing all this time. They want to know what's in it for them. Then number 3 is scheduling that conversation, whether it's by phone, by Zoom, in person, however you're meeting with your clients, to be able to talk about the things that are important to them and how these new prices and packages that you offer will help them to achieve that. And that means that you want to be asking a lot of questions during a value conversation. And then you discuss the options of which of the 3 packages will work best for you. So those are the things to really look at. Is you want to first connect with your value before you can expect someone else to. You want to be able to communicate it to them. You want to schedule a conversation to meet with them. And then you want it to focus on what's in their best, what they want to achieve, and then look at the different packages that they can choose and help them decide which one is in their best interest. So that's how you start to move in direction.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you're exactly right. People want to know how it affects them. They don't necessarily care why you've had to increase, but what value you're going to bring. Because if you're just raising your prices to raise your prices, it's going to turn them off. But if you can communicate the value behind it and the reasons for them, I think you have a much better chance.
Exactly. Leslie, what I've seen is with so many of my clients, they hold themselves back. They overthink it. Sometimes, not just for months, they sometimes overthink it for years before they raise their rates, because it has so much fear behind it and other things that it raises. They don't want to be seen as greedy or anything like that. And what I do is I just take them through these steps, one thing at a time, of how to be able to write the letter, how to be able to get it out, what are the questions you want to ask. As a result of that, people that have been thinking about it for years are now doing it one step at a time, as we're doing it together instead of them trying to figure it out on their own. And because of that, they're doubling their income without any additional time working. One of my clients, she actually, in some aspects of her services, making 5 times more than what she was making for that service before, because she's able to position the value as opposed to trading dollars for hours, which is what she was doing before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can relate to that, because I think I shared with you earlier, when I launched Hire My Mom back in 2007, I only charged job seekers, not businesses to post jobs, because at that time, working from home was not quite as accepted as it is today. And my whole reason for wanting to do that is I knew, like me, there were so many moms who wanted to work from home that they would be able to they would be willing to pay a small fee to join. But I was like, let me do whatever I can to get these businesses to start trusting moms and start posting jobs, and to see that it's a great option. So it was almost like, let me just give them something so they can see the value of it. And once I built that up, I was like, okay, now in addition to, paying tens of thousands of dollars for a new website, I needed to increase my rates for that, for one reason, but I knew my clients didn't care. That's not something they cared whether I had to spend all that money. but knowing that I had proven the value of Hire My Mom, I was like, okay, I think now I can start charging businesses for posting jobs. But I agree, it was scary because I was like, what are they going to think? Are they going to think I'm greedy? Are they going to not want to use Hire My Mom anymore? But that I've not gotten any negative feedback at all. I've only gotten positive feedback that, you've provided such value over the years, and I understand businesses cost money to run. I'm happy to see your business grow, blah, blah, blah. So exactly what you were saying.
And the other thing you're saying, and I just want to really bring it to the surface because it's so important, is that there was something you were giving away for free because you didn't know how to charge for it, or even that you could.
Yeah.
And it was once you had that insight and awareness, you were able to then go ahead and charge for something that previously was complimentary. And that is true for the majority of entrepreneurs that I work with, is that there's some things they don't know how to charge for, and therefore they're doing that service for their clients for free without getting compensated for it. But when I help them to really build out their packages, we build those things that they did for free before into their packages, and now they're being compensated for them, even though it might not be anything that takes more time, but it's valuable to the client.
Yes, it is. And so is that how you coach your clients on how to price their packages and provide the value?
What I look at when I'm coaching my clients on how to be able to build out packages is understanding first who their ideal client is and what is the problem that they typically want to solve that they would hire them for. And then looking at a combination of what are the services that they need to receive to achieve that? Where does your expertise come in? Maybe there's advisory services included, or consultations too.
Mhm.
Also, there's things that are hidden value. How do they access you? What is your response time? If something comes up in between, how do they have access to you then also? And we're looking at some of those hidden things as well. Customer support, which can eat up a huge amount of time, and how to be able to bring that into the packages too. And that way they're getting compensated for work that they would do anyway, and they just didn't know how to charge for it. But it's about the fact that they now value what they bring to the table, and because of that, their bank account grows.
Yes. Now, what do you kind of coach people into think of other services or products that they could offer? For instance, we just recently started offering a job seeker course for people that are just new into trying to get back into work. So it goes through, cover letters and resumes and interviews. So that's something new that we're offering. And then some one-on-one consultations. We've also started partnering with a few training moms who offer like virtual assistant training and that sort of thing as kind of a joint venture to expand what we offer to make us more of an all-in-one. So is that something else that you can see from the outside in sometimes to enable your clients to think, okay, you really have the expertise, or you really could offer something else, just those sorts of things?
Yes, part of what I'm looking at is that you don't necessarily want to be dependent on just one stream of revenue, because that could impact your business. It's similar to the fine dining restaurants that didn't have takeout. They just had eating in the restaurant, and then restaurants had to shut down right away for weeks.
Yeah.
And therefore, if they weren't able to pivot, it affected their cash flow, and maybe some of them weren't able to reopen. Because that you don't want to just be dependent on one stream of revenue. You really want to have sources that might be multiple streams of revenue. And as you're in your business and it starts to mature, you become aware of different streams of revenue that you didn't know in the beginning or had the capacity for. Now what you can do is do that as maybe an add-on service, or you can even develop a whole separate string of packages for that particular service. Therefore, it's possible now that people are coming to you from two different directions as opposed to one, and that they're both complementary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that so many have learned through this season is to be thinking about what other options especially if you're someone whose business has been brick and mortar or, in person. Those of us that have had remote, it hasn't been as impactful, but it's really, I think, caused people to look at things differently on, okay, what other services, what other products, how could I expand without getting too spread out, stay
Mhm.
true to your business. But I think that's a great value add as well for you.
I want to say one thing to that also is make sure that it's something that you enjoy doing and doesn't feel like a grind to you. Because if it feels like a grind to you, then it's going to lead to burnout. Or if it feels like a grind to you, but it has value, then I would say maybe looking at hiring someone to fulfill that service. You don't have to be the one to do the fulfillment.
Yes, I agree 100%. I tell people all the time, you've got to find something you enjoy doing. Otherwise, you will dread it. And
Hmm.
if you enjoy what you do, then it's a bonus that you make money doing it, right?
Yes, it is, because I have found I don't even work with entrepreneurs who are just doing something for the money, because they pivot too quickly as soon as it's not getting the results that they want, or they don't stick with it long enough because they're always chasing the next opportunity and dollar. Because that I find that I really enjoy working with entrepreneurs who are doing something that it feels meaningful for them. It is really connected to their gifts and their superpowers, their strengths, and that they would probably to some degree do it even if they could do it for free. So it's really naturally aligned with who they are.
Yeah. And I would agree because the first many years I ran Hire My Mom, it basically kind of just paid for itself. I made a little bit, but it was such a passion
Mhm.
of mine because I wanted to be at home with my own kids. So it was more than a hobby, but I
Mhm.
didn't have you back then to show me how to price my services. But I've stuck with it because it is a passion. If it wasn't, I would have given
Mhm.
up a long time ago.
Mhm. And I love Hire My Mom. I have used it. I have referred people to it, whether they are contract workers or looking to hire someone. I believe that you do a fantastic job of vetting people, and that there's a higher quality of person there than if you go to some of the other job sites.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That means a lot. Well, Lauren, thank you so much. I know you've helped a lot of people get out of that mindset of not thinking that they're worth their charge or what they want to charge for their services. So hopefully some will connect with you to learn more about how you can help them grow. And I'll put that information at the bottom of the video.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to also just share that, that would be great. How they
I
can
would love to share. I would love to share that. Thank you. I have a free resource called Get Paid What You're Worth. In the resource, it really goes into deeper about the things that I covered today. It helps you figure out who's your ideal client, where your mindset might be holding you back. How do you actually explain the value of what you offer? How to be able to position yourself as an authority and to be able to attract those ideal clients to you. If that is something that appeals to you, that Get Paid What You're Worth resource, it's at businesssuccesssolution.com/worth. Just one more time, businesssuccesssolution.com/worth. And you can have access to the complimentary Get Paid What You're Worth resource.
Perfect. And I will link that below for anyone that's driving or something along those lines. So again, thank you so much, Lauren.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Leslie.